Hi, today I'm going to talk to you about the quadratic formula and the discriminant. We're going to start off with the quadratic formula. You need to memorize this, and it is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. This is going to come up a lot, and the nice thing about this formula is you can use it all the time. So factoring, sometimes things aren't factorable, square roots, you can only do that when you don't have a b. You can use completing the square, but this formula is pretty easy to use, and the nice thing is you can use it all the time. So the first part is we're going to put this in standard form, okay? So in standard form, it would be x squared, subtract 4x from both sides, minus 7 equals 0. So I want it to be in standard form and set equal to 0. And then what I'm going to do off to the side is I'm going to put what's the value of A, what's the value of B, and what's the value of C, because I can just keep referring back to that and I don't really have to look at this again. Okay, so maybe in a different color, let's see if you guys can see this. A is going to be 1. B is negative 4. And C is negative 7. Okay, so now the formula, negative b. So negative, my first step, I just like filling stuff in, okay, is negative 4. I don't really even think, I'm just filling in. Square root b, which is negative 4, squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. Okay, so now I'm going to try to simplify a few things so it's not, just doing one little step every time. Negative 4 is 4 plus or minus square root. Negative 4 squared is 16. And then negative 4 times negative 7 times 1 is positive 28 over 2. Okay, now I'm going to take my calculator and 16 plus 28. So I have 4 plus or minus the square root of 44 over 2. Now this is where it gets, I don't want to say tricky, but you kind of have to look at the instructions to see what they're asking for. If your answer is asked for in simplest radical form, then we just have to simplify this radical 44, and the square root of 44, the perfect square that goes into 44 is 4. So this is like 4 times 11, which would end up being 4 plus or minus 2 radical 11 over 2. And now you look at all these outside numbers, see how 2 goes into 4, 2 goes into 2, and 2 goes into 2. So we can simplify, divide everything by 2. 2 plus or minus radical 11. Or that's one answer, and this is really two answers, 2 plus radical 11, 2 minus radical 11. So if your answer is supposed to be in simplest radical form, you can leave it like that. If you're going to turn it into a decimal, and sometimes people will say round, if they say round it, then you're going to put 11, square root it. So this is the positive version, plus 2 gets you 5.3. And then the other answer, 11 square root, make it the negative version, minus, 11 square root, make it a negative, and then plus 2, negative 1.3. Okay, so those are going to be the answers if they want it in decimal form. Now, just so that you know, if you had to convert it into a decimal, you could have gone straight from here to here. You would only do this if it said put it in simplest radical form. You could have just gone 44 square root, make it the positive version, plus 4 divided by 2, and you should get the same answer, okay? And then you'd make it negative. All right, so now basically all we did, put it in standard form, find A, B, and C, plug in and solve. All right, so let's look at the next one. Now, when I put this in standard form, I like for my A to be positive. It's not a requirement or anything, so I'm gonna go ahead and put my 0 on this side, add 4x to both sides, subtract 21. Okay, so let's put our A, B, and C. A is 1, B is 4, C is negative 21. All right, negative B plus or minus square root, and the more you say it, the easier it is going to be to remember. B squared minus 4 times A times C all over 2 times A. Okay, and if you want to go ahead and try to do that, pause the video and try to do that, and then just, you know, fast forward and see if your answer's right. Now I'm going to go back up here, trying to save a little bit of room. Okay, at this point, you don't want to stop right there. 100 is a perfect square. Okay, and so at this point, we don't leave the answer like this either. We have to continue. So this is two separate problems, right? You have -4 plus 10 over 2, and you have -4 minus 10 over 2, because you have to do the plus 10 and then the minus 10. So -4 plus 10 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. That's one answer. And then -14 gets you -7. Okay. Feel like I'm kind of running out of room a little bit. Let's try this again. Let's shift it over here. All right, so I'm going to put this in standard form. X squared minus 24. Oh, sorry. Minus 2x minus 24 equals 0. Let's put our A, B, and C. A is 1. B is -2. C is -24. All right, negative B, -2, negative B, plus or minus the square root minus 4 times A times C. Okay, -2, 4 plus 96. Oh, this is, once again, we have 100 underneath here. It's kind of nice. So now at this point, just because of lack of room, I'm going to split it. This is 2 plus 10 over 2, which is 12 over 2, which is 6. 2 minus 10 over 2, which is -8, sorry. -8 over 2, -8 over 2, which is -4. All right, I wanted to show you, I hope you guys can see that. I wanted to show you a word problem. Actually, this word problem is supposed to have a plus here. Made that mistake earlier. Okay, so in this word problem, it says we have a rock. I'm gonna draw a little picture up here. We have a rock. There's my fancy rock. And a frog is jumping off the rock, and we wanna know how long it takes him to hit the ground. Okay, so he's not starting on the ground and ending on the ground. He's starting on a rock, which we don't know how tall the rock is, jumping off, and he's landing on the ground. They give us an equation, so we're gonna trust that it's right. And so we're gonna look for the x-intercepts. All right, so on the side, I'm gonna put A equals, it's in standard form, which is nice, -16, B equals 10, C equals 0.75. Okay, so just filling this in, -B plus or minus. Okay, I'm gonna grab my calculator for this. 16 times 4. Oh, I don't think I did. 16 times 4 times 0.75. I think I forgot that. Okay, it's 48. All right. So now I have I'm going to go ahead and add those. -10 plus or minus 148 over -32. And now I have two answers. So I'm going to put 148 in my calculator, square root it, make it let's do the positive. So it's positive, minus 10 divided by 32, negative 0.75. 0.0, okay? And now we're gonna have 148 square root negative minus 10 divided by 32 negative is 0.69. Okay, so I have two answers here. Now, one of these is not going to make sense. Remember, every time there's a word problem, for this stuff, it makes sense because it's just a parabola. It can go through negative, it can go through positive. But when I have a word problem like this, I want to really go back and say, okay, well, here's the frog. It's jumping off. How long is it in the air? Can it be in the air for a negative time? No, it can't be in there for negative time. So therefore, that answer does not work. It's not because it's a small number, it's because it's a negative. Okay, so this is our answer. That is how long the frog was in the air. Okay, the next part I want to show you is something called the discriminant. And if you notice, the discriminant, the formula for the discriminant is kind of nice because it's just this part. It's the part that's underneath the radical. So it's usually pretty, if you remember the square root, the quadratic formula, the discriminant's pretty easy to remember. Okay, and so what this does is it tells you how many answers there are. It tells you how many solutions. Okay, so you might want to draw this little chart on your paper. If the discriminant is positive, it means that you're going to have, let's put here, discriminant, number of solutions. And then I'm going to draw you a little picture. Okay, so if your discriminant is positive, if you plug in A, B, and C and you calculate it and you get a positive answer, it doesn't matter what the number is. If it's positive, it means you're going to have two solutions. And it basically means it's going to go through the x-axis in two places. Okay? If the discriminant is a 0, you plug all that in and you get a 0, it means you're going to have one solution. And basically, the vertex is going to be on the x-axis. And if you have a negative number, you're going to get no solutions, and it basically means that it's not going to intercept the x-axis anywhere. Okay, and these pictures could also look like this. You know, it could also be the other way around, like that. Okay, so let's show you how you use this. Once again, that first step is going to be to identify A, B, and C. So A is 1. I'm looking at this problem right here. A is 1, B is -4, and C is 3. Okay, I'm just going to use this right here, B squared. So -4 squared minus 4 times A times C. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and calculate that. That's 16 minus 12, which gets me 4. That's a positive answer. So it doesn't mean I have 4 solutions. It's a positive answer, which means I have 2 solutions. It doesn't tell me what the solutions are, it just tells me there's going to be 2 solutions. Okay, move on to this one. A is -1, B is 4, C is -4. B squared minus 4 times A times C. 16 plus, this is going to be a minus 16. When I do -4 times -4 is positive 16 times -1 is -16. So when I do that, I get 0 for an answer. Remember, that doesn't mean I have 0 solutions. That means I have 1 solution. The vertex is going to go through the X. Okay? Last one for today. A is 1, B is -4, C is 5. Fill it in. -4 squared minus 4 times A times C. 16 minus 20 gets me -4. I have a negative answer, so therefore I have no solutions. Okay? The discriminant, remember, it just tells you what the solutions are. All right, have a good day. See you guys tomorrow.